The mountain stood like a giant in the land. Its peak was always hidden by clouds that glowed faintly at night. The rocks of the mountain were not like ordinary stone. They shone with strange colors, sometimes green, sometimes blue, and sometimes like fire. Travelers who passed near it spoke of sounds like metal ringing deep inside. The villagers who lived in the valley below called it the Forbidden Mountain. No one dared climb it, for they believed it was guarded by a being who was more than human. They said a dragon woman lived there, watching all who tried to pass. Stories of her had spread for many years. Some said she was a spirit made of flame. Some said she was a machine, left from an older time. Others whispered that she was once a woman who was changed by the mountain itself. Her skin turned to bright scales and her eyes filled with light. Whatever the truth, the villagers agreed on one thing. No man who tried to climb the mountain had ever returned the same. Some came back broken and silent. Some never came back at all. Because of this, the villagers warned strangers to stay away. But one traveler did not listen. His name was Rian. He had wandered across deserts, forests, and seas, chasing pieces of old records that spoke of a hidden place of power. He believed the Forbidden Mountain held secrets of the past, secrets that could help humanity rise again. In his pack he carried maps, old papers, and a strange device with a screen that lit when he touched it. It was cracked and old, but it still showed signals that pointed to the mountain. Rian had followed those signals for weeks, and now he stood at the edge of the valley. Looking up at the mountain that seemed to touch the sky, the villagers saw him at the inn that night. They gathered around his table, warning him again and again. One old man with a long beard said, "You must not climb. The guardian will not let you pass. She is not like us. She will test you, and she will take from you more than you can give." Rian listened with calm eyes. He had heard such warnings before in other places. He respected the people, but his heart was fixed on the path ahead. "I do not come to take what belongs to the mountain," he told them. "I come to learn. I come to see what was left behind. Humanity cannot stay in the shadows forever. We must know our past if we want a future." A woman at the table shook her head. Many said the same. Many thought they were brave. But the dragon woman does not care for such words. She guards with fire and with strength. You will not defeat her. Rian gave a small smile. "I do not plan to defeat her. I plan to meet her. If she is the guardian, then I must face her. That is the only way forward." The villagers fell silent, for they saw he would not change his mind. They offered him food for the journey, and though they believed he would not return, they showed kindness. That night, Rian slept in the small inn, listening to the wind that seemed to carry the hum of the mountain. He thought of his family, far away, and of the promise he had made to himself long ago. He would find the truth, no matter the cost. At dawn, he set out. The valley was quiet, the fields behind him golden with harvest, but ahead the mountain rose like a wall. The path was rough, covered in sharp stones and twisted roots. The air grew colder as he climbed. Strange lights flickered in the cracks of the rocks, as if the mountain itself was alive. Birds circled high above, but never landed on its slopes. As he walked higher, he felt a pressure in the air, like unseen eyes watching him. Hours passed, and the forest at the base gave way to cliffs and ridges. The sun struggled to break through the clouds that always hung around the peak. Rian stopped to drink from a stream, and as he knelt, he noticed the water was warm, flowing from deep inside the rock. Steam rose faintly from it. He touched the stone beside the stream and felt a low vibration, as if machines far below were still running after centuries of silence. He whispered to himself, "This mountain is not natural. It is more than stone. It is a shell hiding something greater." By midday, he reached a wide ledge. From there he could see the valley far below, the tiny houses of the villagers like small dots against the earth. Ahead, the path narrowed and twisted upward toward a dark opening in the rock. As he stepped closer, he felt the air change. It grew heavy, filled with a strange energy that made his skin tingle. The ground trembled once, and then a sound echoed across the cliffs. It was a voice, deep and strong, yet also clear and sharp like the strike of metal. Turn back, traveler. The mountain is not for you. Rian froze. The voice came from the shadows ahead. Slowly, a figure stepped out. She was tall, her form covered in armor that looked like scales made of light and steel. Her eyes glowed like molten gold, and her hair shimmered with sparks of fire. She moved with grace, but every step carried weight like thunder. In her hands she held no weapon, yet she seemed more dangerous than any blade. Rian knew at once who she was. The Dragon Woman, the guardian of the mountain. He bowed slightly, for though he was not one to kneel, he wished to show respect. I am Rian, a traveler and seeker of truth. I have come to climb the mountain and see what lies within. Her eyes narrowed, the glow in them brighter. No human may pass without my price. This mountain holds power that men are not ready for. I have guarded it for many lifetimes, and I will not allow the unworthy to enter. Rian lifted his head. Then tell me your price. If there is a way forward, I will face it. She tilted her head, studying him as though she could see every thought in his mind. The air around her shimmered with heat. Many before you have begged. Many have tried to bargain with gold, with jewels, with promises. But the mountain does not open for such things. I demand more. What do you demand? Rian asked. Her voice rang like fire striking stone. You must give what you value most. Only then may you pass. Rian felt a weight on his chest. He thought of his family, of his memories, of his childhood, of the knowledge he carried, of his very sense of self. He realized the guardian was not speaking of wealth or objects. She wanted something deeper, a price that could not be replaced. The Dragon Woman took a step closer. Decide, traveler. Turn back and keep what you have, or pay the price and walk the path. But know this, once given, it cannot be taken back. Rian stood silent, the wind cold around him, the mountain vast above. He had reached the first gate, and before him stood the being who would test not his strength alone, but the very core of who he was. And though the danger was clear, his heart did not falter, for he knew the mountain held the truth, and truth was worth any price. Rian stood before the Dragon Woman, his heart steady, but his mind full of questions. The mountain winds rushed around him, carrying dust and sparks of glowing light from the cracks in the stone. Her golden eyes burned like suns as she watched him, waiting for his answer. She had said he must give up what he valued most if he wanted to climb higher. That price was heavier than any weight he had carried in his life. For a long moment neither spoke. The mountain itself seemed to listen. Rian knew he could not speak empty words. The guardian was not a simple soldier or a wild beast. She was a judge, bound to the mountain by some ancient force. He wondered if she was human at all, or if she had long ago become something greater, something both flesh and machine. I will not turn back, Rian said at last, his voice firm. If I must give a price, I will give it. But I cannot decide without knowing what lies ahead. Tell me, Dragon Woman, what is this mountain hiding that you guard so fiercely? Her eyes narrowed. For a moment, it looked as if fire flickered across her armor. She stepped closer, and when she spoke, her voice was like iron striking against iron. This mountain is the shell of a city older than your people remember. Beneath the stone lie machines that once shaped the skies. They've built weapons, ships, and tools greater than your kind has ever seen since. If released without wisdom, they could destroy more than they could build. That is why I guard them. For centuries I have stood here. I have seen greed in the eyes of those who climb. I have seen fear, anger, and hunger for power. None of them were ready. Most failed. A few returned, broken in body or spirit. None passed through me. Rian listened with care. His heart beat faster as he thought of the city below the rock, machines sleeping, waiting. The thought of touching such knowledge made his hands tighten with longing. But he also felt the weight of her warning. He understood now why she demanded a price. It was not only to test courage, but also to measure what kind of man he was. I do not come for power, he said. I come for truth. Humanity has forgotten too much. We cannot grow if we do not learn from the past. The Dragon Woman tilted her head, golden sparks dancing in her hair as the wind lifted it. That is what others said as well. They claimed noble reasons. Yet when I looked into their hearts, I found selfishness hiding beneath. Will you be different, Rion? Will you hold your word when the mountain shows you wonders? Or will you be like the rest? I will hold true, Rion said. His voice was calm, though he felt the fire of challenge rising in him. Test me, and you will see. She studied him for a long time. Her eyes glowed brighter, and for an instant he felt as if she could see through his very soul. His memories rose before his mind, his family, his journeys, the long nights alone. The maps and papers he had collected, the promise he made when he was young that he would not live in ignorance. He felt as though she touched every part of him, weighing each thought and each scar of his past. He wanted to look away, but held her gaze. If he looked down now, he would already have lost. At last she spoke again. Very well. You wish for a test? Then face me. Her voice shook the stones. She raised one hand, and the mountain itself seemed to respond. A low roar filled the air as parts of the cliffs split open. Strange shapes of metal pushed through the rock, forming tall figures of stone and steel. They were machines, their bodies cracked but still strong, their eyes lighting with red fire as they came alive. Rion stepped back in awe. He had heard of machines that could move without men, but never had he seen one with his own eyes. Your trial begins, the dragon woman said. If you survive, then perhaps you may be worthy to pay the true price. If you fail, then the mountain will keep your bones as it has kept many before. The first machine stepped forward. It was twice the height of a man, its body made of plates of stone held together by glowing lines of light. It moved slowly, but with great strength, its arms heavy like hammers. Rion's hand flew to his pack. He did not carry weapons of war, but he had tools, knives, wires, and small devices from the old world. He pulled out a short rod with a broken screen at the end. He had repaired it many times, and it still carried power. He pressed its side, and the tip sparked with electricity. The machine swung down at him. Rion rolled aside, the ground shaking as the blow struck. Dust rose in clouds. Rion ran forward, sliding under its arm, and drove the sparking rod into the glowing line on its chest. A burst of light exploded, and the machine let out a sound like a scream of metal before it froze in place. The light in its eyes dimmed, and it fell still. The dragon woman watched with no sign of surprise. One machine does not prove you. There are more. The ground shook again, and 3 more stepped from the rock. Rion's breath grew heavy. He knew he could not fight them with strength alone. He would need to use his mind. He ran toward the cliff wall, searching for the glowing cracks where the machines drew their power. He saw a cluster of glowing stones and realized they were like veins feeding energy to the guardians. He pulled wires from his pack and climbed quickly. His hands burned from the hot stone, but he worked fast, twisting wires and connecting them to the sparking rod. When the next machine raised its arm to strike, Rion drove the wire deep into the glowing vein. A wave of blue light spread across the rock, and the machines jerked as if in pain. 2 of them froze, their movements breaking apart as their energy was cut. The last one still stood, stronger than the rest, its chest glowing brighter. It roared and charged at him. Rion barely jumped aside, rolling on the stone ground. His rod was broken now, sparks gone. He had nothing left but his hands and his will. The machine turned toward him. Rion picked up a heavy rock and threw it at its eye. The rock broke, but the machine staggered for a moment. That was enough. He rushed forward, climbed its leg, and reached its chest. With his bare hands, he pulled at the glowing plate until it cracked. The light inside burned his fingers, but he forced himself to hold on, tearing the plate away. At last, the light went out, and the machine fell. Shaking the ground as it crashed, Rion dropped beside it, his body trembling, his skin burned and bleeding in small cuts. He breathed hard, but he stood. He had survived. The mountain was silent again, except for the sound of his beating heart. The dragon woman stepped forward. Her golden eyes glowed brighter now, but there was no anger in them. For the first time, Rion thought he saw respect. She stopped before him and spoke in a lower voice. You used your mind as well as your strength. You fought not only with power, but with thought. Few have done this before. Rion stood straight, though his body ached. I told you. I did not come only to fight. I came to prove that humanity still has wisdom. The dragon woman looked at him for a long time. Then she nodded once. Your trial is past. But do not think the mountain is finished with you. There are more tests ahead and greater dangers than these machines. Now you must face the true price. You must give what you value most.
Oh.
Her words struck him like a blow. He had survived the machines, but now he faced something even harder. His courage had brought him this far, but would he truly give up what was dearest to him? The path upward waited, and so did the choice that could change his life forever. Rion stood on the stone ledge, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. The broken machines lay scattered around him, their glowing eyes now dark. The ground still smoked where his rod and wires had burned into the energy veins. His body ached, his hands blistered, but his spirit stood strong. He had passed the first trial, yet the words of the dragon woman struck deeper than any wound. Now you must give what you value most. She moved closer, the light from her golden eyes casting long shadows. Her armor shimmered like scales of fire and steel. The mountain wind wrapped around her as if the very air obeyed her presence. Rion felt the pressure of her gaze, as though she was not only looking at him, but also into him. You have shown strength, she said, her voice clear and steady. You have shown wit. But those alone are not enough. To pass, you must prove what you are willing to surrender. The mountain does not open for those who cling to everything. It opens only for those who know sacrifice. Rion met her gaze without flinching. You said I must give what I value most. Then tell me how. Do I place it in your hand? Do I speak it aloud? What must I do? Her expression did not change, but there was something sharper in her eyes, as if she tested his soul with every heartbeat. You must decide. And once chosen, it is gone forever. Do not think you can deceive me. I will know if you lie. The mountain will know as well. Rion's throat tightened. He had faced blades, storms, and deserts, but this demand was heavier than all. What did he value most? He thought first of his family. He saw the memory of his sister smiling when they were children, her laughter bright in the sun. He thought of his father teaching him to read the maps in old books, guiding him with patience. He thought of his mother's hands, always warm, even when food was scarce. Those memories kept him alive in lonely nights. To give them up would be like losing them a second time. But there was more. He thought of his knowledge, the papers, the maps, the strange device that guided him. Without them, he would never have reached this place. His knowledge was his compass, his strength in every land. Could he give that away? If he did, how could he go on? The dragon woman's voice broke his thoughts. You hesitate. That is natural. Few are ready to give. But remember, Rion, the mountain does not open for half-hearts. Choose or leave. Rion closed his eyes for a moment. The wind was cold, the rocks hard beneath his boots. He knew that if he turned back now, he would carry regret for the rest of his life. He had crossed oceans, walked deserts, and faced storms to reach this place. To stop here would make all of it meaningless. At last, he opened his eyes. His voice was calm, though it carried the weight of sorrow. I cannot give my family. They are my light. Even if they are far, they live in me. Without them, I would lose myself. But I will give something else. I will give my skill, my knowledge. Take it from me. Let it be the price. The dragon woman studied him in silence. Her golden eyes flickered, and for a long moment she did not speak. The mountain air grew heavy again, as though it waited for her judgment. Finally she stepped closer, her presence towering over him. You offer your knowledge, she said. That is rare. Many cling to it, thinking it makes them strong. Yet you are willing to surrender it. Do you understand what that means? If you give this, you will forget much. The maps in your mind will vanish. The devices you carry will mean little. You will walk into the unknown without the tools you trusted. Do you still accept this? Rian's heart pounded. Fear touched him, sharp and real. Without his knowledge, he would be like a blind man in a storm. But he lifted his chin and answered firmly, "Yes, if that is the price, I accept it. For truth is greater than the tools that lead me. If I must walk forward empty-handed, I will." The dragon woman raised her hand. Her fingers glowed with golden fire, and when she touched his forehead, the world around him shifted. Rian gasped as a wave of heat and light passed through his mind. He felt memories slip away, the names of rivers he had crossed, the directions of stars he had followed, the old codes he had studied, the secrets written in books of the forgotten world. They fell from him like sand and water, vanishing into silence. He tried to hold them, but they dissolved beyond his reach. When it ended, he staggered. His breath came hard and his eyes burned with tears he did not mean to shed. His mind felt emptier, lighter, but also wounded. He reached for the device at his side, the old cracked screen that had guided him. It glowed faintly, but he no longer understood its signs. The symbols were broken to him, their meaning lost. He clenched it tight, knowing it was now nothing more than a shell. The dragon woman lowered her hand. Her golden eyes softened slightly, though her face remained strong. "It is done. You have paid the price." Rian straightened, his legs shaking, his mind echoing with loss. "I gave what I promised. Will you let me pass?" She nodded slowly. "Yes. You have surrendered what you valued most. You have shown that you are not bound only by desire. The mountain will open its next path to you. But remember, Rian, you walk forward weaker in one way, yet perhaps stronger in another. The weight you lost may reveal strength you did not know." She turned and raised her arm. The cliff above rumbled, and a stone gate appeared, its surface glowing with lines of light. The mountain groaned like a living beast, and the gate slid open to reveal a passage leading upward into the darkness. A warm red glow pulsed from within, like the heartbeat of something ancient. Rian looked at the path. His fear and sorrow pressed on him, but beneath them was a flame of determination. He had lost much, yet he still had himself, his will, and the promise that drove him here. He stepped forward. The dragon woman moved aside, her golden eyes never leaving him. As he passed, she spoke again. "Know this, traveler. The path ahead will test not only your body, but your spirit. The mountain will show you visions. It will ask who you truly are. Do not fail, for if you do, you will not return." Rian nodded once. His voice was quiet but steady. "I will not fail." With that, he entered the passage. The stone gate closed behind him, sealing him in the mountain's heart. The air inside was warm, humming with power. The walls glowed faintly, etched with symbols he no longer understood. His steps echoed as he walked deeper, each sound swallowed by the mountain's vast silence. Though he had lost the knowledge of maps and machines, something new stirred within him. His heart beat with strength. His mind, though emptied of many things, was sharp with focus. He had given up what he valued most, and yet he was not broken. He was ready for whatever the mountain held next. The stone passage closed behind Rian, and silence wrapped around him. The air inside the mountain was thick and warm, carrying the faint smell of iron and smoke. His boots echoed against the stone floor as he walked deeper into the glowing tunnel. The walls pulsed with lines of red light, like the veins of a living body. The mountain was not just rock. It was something built, something vast and ancient. Rian touched the wall with his hand. It felt warm, almost alive. The hum beneath the stone grew stronger with each step he took, as if the mountain itself recognized him and tested his resolve. He had given up his knowledge, his skill with maps and machines, yet he carried on. The loss weighed heavy on his mind, but his spirit burned brighter. He told himself that strength was not only in what he knew, but also in what he dared to do. After a long walk, the tunnel opened into a great chamber. Rian stopped at the threshold, his eyes widening at the sight before him. The chamber was massive, its ceiling lost in shadows high above. Towers of stone and steel rose from the floor, glowing with faint light. In the center stood a wide platform marked with circles of fire that burned without smoke. The air trembled with heat. A deep voice filled the chamber, echoing from everywhere and nowhere. "You have paid the price. Now you must prove the strength of your spirit. The mountain will test you with fire and steel." Rian knew the voice was part of the Guardian's will, though she was not here in body. She had said the mountain itself would judge him, and now her words came true. The platform in the center began to shift. The circles of fire expanded, forming paths like bridges. Shapes rose from the ground, tall figures of metal with sharp arms and glowing chests. They were machines, stronger and more advanced than those he had faced outside. Their eyes glowed with red fire, and their movements were swift, not heavy and slow like before. Rian's heart beat faster. He had no rod, no wires, no maps to guide him. His knowledge of machines had been taken as the price. Now he faced them with nothing but his will and his body. The first machine stepped forward. Its arm unfolded into a blade of glowing steel. It swung at him with deadly speed. Rian rolled across the hot stone, the blade cutting the air where he had stood. He grabbed a loose piece of rock and threw it at the machine's head. The stone shattered without effect. The machine turned its burning eyes on him and advanced. Rian backed onto the fiery path. The heat burned through his boots, forcing him to move quickly. The machine followed, its steps heavy but precise. With no weapon, Rian relied on movement. He ducked, dodged, and slid around its strikes, each swing of the glowing blade missing him by inches. Sweat poured down his face, the heat nearly overwhelming. He searched for weakness, any sign of a flaw. Then he saw it. Each time the machine swung, the glowing chest plate brightened for a moment before dimming again. It was a core, a heart of power. If he could strike there, he could stop it. But how? He had no tool to pierce steel. The platform shook, and more machines rose. 3 now stood before him. Rian's breath caught. He could not outrun them all. He had to fight. But with what? His eyes scanned the platform, searching. The circles of fire gave off sparks that fell like burning rain. An idea sparked in his mind. He waited until the nearest machine struck again. He dodged left, grabbed a burning fragment from the ground, and with all his strength hurled it at the glowing chest. The spark burst on contact, and for a moment the machine staggered, its chest flickering. Rian leaped forward, grabbed a piece of broken metal lying on the floor, and drove it into the crack he had opened. The machine let out a sound like screeching iron and collapsed, its red eyes going dark. Rian's arm burned from the heat, his hand blistered from the glowing fragment, but he stood. He turned to the other machines, his chest heaving with breath. They came together. Moving faster, their blades striking in unison. Rian dodged the first strike, but stumbled on the hot floor. The second blade came down toward him. He rolled the edge, grazing his shoulder, tearing through his clothing. Pain shot through him, but he clenched his teeth and stood again. The fire circles flared brighter, and the path split. Rian ran onto a narrow bridge of stone that stretched above a pit of flame. The machines followed, their heavy steps shaking the bridge. Rian's mind raced. He could not fight both at once. But perhaps the bridge could be his weapon. He slowed his steps, letting the machines close behind. When the first swung, Rian ducked. The blade cut deep into the stone bridge, sending cracks spreading across it. Rian jumped forward as the ground gave way. The first machine fell, tumbling into the pit of flame. Its red eyes dimmed as fire swallowed it. One remained. The last machine was faster, stronger, its eyes burning brighter than the others. It charged, forcing Rian backward toward the edge of the platform. The heat pressed against him, his body weak from exhaustion. The machine raised its blade for the final strike. Rian clenched his fists. He had nothing left but courage. He stepped forward instead of back, rushing into the swing. The blade cut across his side, burning his skin, but he ignored the pain. He slammed into the machine's chest with all his strength. Driving the broken piece of metal he still carried deep into the glowing core. Sparks exploded. Fire burst from the machine's chest. It staggered, arms flailing, before collapsing with a thunderous crash. Rian fell to his knees, clutching his side. His body shook with pain, his breath ragged. The chamber grew quiet. The flames dimmed, and the ground cooled. The machines lay broken around him, their red lights gone. The deep voice filled the chamber again. You have faced fire and steel. You did not yield. You did not flee. The mountain sees your courage. Rise, Rian, for the path ahead opens. Slowly, with effort, Rian pushed himself to his feet. His body ached, his wounds burned, but his spirit was unbroken. He looked forward, and on the far wall a new gate of stone appeared. Glowing with golden light, he limped across the chamber, each step a trial of will. When he reached the gate, it opened without a sound. Beyond lay a staircase carved of shining rock, rising into the heart of the mountain. Rian placed his hand on the wall as he climbed, steadying himself. The hum of the mountain grew louder, pulsing like a heartbeat, guiding him upward. At the top of the stairs, he entered another chamber, smaller but filled with light. Symbols covered the walls, glowing in patterns he could not understand, for his knowledge had been taken. Yet he felt their meaning in his heart, as though the mountain itself whispered to him. In the center of the chamber stood a great door of silver, sealed and silent. Above it burned a mark shaped like a dragon's eye. Rian knew this was the final gate, the entrance to the mountain's deepest secret, and standing before it was the dragon woman. She looked at him with golden eyes, her armor gleaming brighter than before. She had watched his trial, though unseen, and now she awaited his arrival. You endured the fire, she said, her voice softer than before. You endured the steel. You faced pain and loss, yet you did not falter. Few have come this far, Rian, but the final choice still awaits. The last test will not measure your body nor your strength. It will measure your heart. Rian stood straight, though every part of him hurt. His voice was steady, filled with quiet resolve. I have come this far. Whatever test awaits, I will face it. Open the way. The dragon woman's eyes glowed brighter, and the silver door began to tremble. The final trial was about to begin. Rian stood before the silver door, its surface smooth and bright, etched with strange symbols that pulsed like they were alive. The mark of the dragon's eye glowed at the center, radiating warmth and power. He could feel it through the soles of his boots, a vibration that seemed to echo in his chest. The air was heavy with energy, and his body still ached from the trials of fire and steel. Yet he was determined. Every step had brought him here. He would not turn back now. The dragon woman stood to the side, her golden eyes steady and sharp. She had watched him endure the trials, but now she was silent, her presence commanding and serene. This is the final test, Rian, she said. The mountain does not judge your strength or skill here. It judges your heart. What you choose now will determine what you become and whether the secrets within will awaken for the world. Rian took a deep breath. His hands were blistered and his clothes torn, but his mind was clear. He had given up his knowledge, his skills, everything he thought he needed to climb higher. He had faced the machines, endured the fire, and survived the trials. Now, all that remained was the choice of his heart. What must I do? He asked. His voice echoed softly against the walls of the chamber. The dragon woman's eyes glowed brighter. You must decide whether to awaken what lies within this mountain. It is a power greater than any human has controlled for generations. To awaken it is to change the world, for better or for worse. Many have tried, but most have failed because they were not ready. Only one who can act with wisdom, courage, and compassion may pass. Rian stepped closer to the door, feeling its warmth on his fingertips. Symbols shifted and shimmered under his touch. He thought of the world beyond the mountain, of villages and cities, of people struggling against hunger, illness, and fear. He thought of the mountains, rivers, and forests he had crossed. Humanity needed this knowledge, this power, to rise again, but only if used wisely. He could feel the mountain testing him, weighing his intentions as much as his heart. I will not use it for greed, Rian said quietly, though the words were carried through the chamber. I will awaken it only to help others, to rebuild and protect, to bring knowledge and safety where it is needed. I will not let it harm the innocent. I will take responsibility for whatever comes from this mountain." For a moment, silence reigned. Then the silver door trembled, the dragon's eye glowing brighter and brighter. A low hum filled the chamber, vibrating through Rion's chest. The wall panels shifted, opening like petals of a metallic flower. Warm light poured through the gap, revealing a hall filled with machines of incredible size and design. Some were shaped like birds with wings of silver, others like massive engines with gears larger than his arms. They seemed dormant yet alive, waiting to respond. Rion stepped inside, his eyes wide. His mind, though emptied of much knowledge, could still sense the purpose of these machines. They were not weapons. They were tools. Builders of cities, carriers of light, machines capable of learning and creating. The mountain had not been hiding destruction. It had been preserving hope. The dragon woman followed him, her armor glowing faintly in the golden light. "Few humans have seen what lies here," she said. "Most see only power to take, not power to serve. You have chosen differently, Rian. That is why you may proceed." Rian walked among the machines, marveling at the complexity and size. He could feel their dormant energy, as though the mountain itself had paused for centuries, waiting for someone worthy. He realized that the trials were not just physical. They had tested his patience, his courage, his morality, and his wisdom. The machines had been a reflection of what he carried inside. As he stepped further, a large chamber opened ahead. In its center stood a pedestal with a glowing crystal, bright and pure. Rian instinctively approached it. The crystal pulsed with life, and as he touched it, a wave of understanding surged through him. Images of the past flashed in his mind, humans building machines alongside creatures of light. Cities rising above clouds, technology blending with nature. Knowledge long forgotten now returned, but not as memories from before. This was different. It was as if the mountain itself was teaching him. He felt the presence of the dragon woman beside him. "This is the heart of the mountain," she said. "It is the culmination of what humanity once achieved. Now it is yours to awaken. But remember, the choice you made to give up your knowledge was not punishment, it was preparation. You are ready to act with clarity, not arrogance." Rian took a deep breath, feeling the crystal's energy flowing through him. It was not overwhelming, but steady, like a river guiding him. He realized that even though he had given up his maps and devices, he had gained something more valuable: trust in himself and the courage to act without relying on tools. He could think, reason, and decide. That was more powerful than any artifact. Slowly, he lifted his hands and touched the crystal fully. Light spread outward, filling the hall. The machines stirred, their eyes glowing blue for the first time in centuries. They moved gracefully, aligning themselves as if recognizing Rian's presence. Some extended arms, others shifted gears, but none were hostile. The mountain hummed with life, and Rian felt as though it was welcoming him. The dragon woman watched, her expression unreadable. "You have awakened the machines," she said softly, "but awakening is only the first step. To control them, you must continue to act with care. They respond to intent, not force. Your heart guides them. Use it wisely." Rian nodded, understanding. This was a gift, yes, but also a responsibility. These machines could rebuild cities, create energy, heal the land, and protect the weak. But in the wrong hands, they could also destroy. He would need to lead with patience, compassion, and courage. He was no longer the traveler who climbed the mountain seeking answers. He had become a guardian in his own right. He turned to the dragon woman, his eyes meeting hers. "Why did you guard this mountain for so long?" he asked. She smiled faintly, a warmth in her golden eyes. "Because I needed to see who was worthy. Many tried. Many failed. Some sought power for themselves. Some lacked courage or wisdom. You are the first in centuries who chose rightly, who endured and gave of yourself without asking for reward. That is why I allowed you to pass." Rian bowed his head in respect. "Thank you. I will not waste this chance. I will serve the mountain, and through it, serve the world." The dragon woman's form shimmered, and she took a step back. Your journey is only beginning. The mountain's secrets are vast. Others may come. You must guide them as I have guided you. Remember, strength alone is not enough. Compassion, wisdom, and courage are what will shape the future. Rian nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, but also the exhilaration of possibility. The machines continued to stir, moving gracefully and silently. He could feel their potential to rebuild, to bring light to places forgotten, to heal lands and lives. The mountain had been a test, a preservation, and now in his hands. It could become a force for good. He looked around once more, taking in the vast hall, the machines, and the glowing crystal. The journey had cost him knowledge, his skill, and the certainty of what lay ahead. Yet in return, he had gained understanding, courage, and the chance to shape the future. The dragon woman stepped aside, her golden eyes warm. Go now, Rian. Teach what you have learned. Lead. Protect. And remember, the mountain watches always. Rian stepped forward, moving among the machines, feeling their power respond to his intent. He knew the mountain's heart would be with him wherever he went. He had climbed the forbidden path, faced fire and steel, surrendered what he held dear, and proved his heart. Now, humanity's future could rise again, guided by wisdom, courage, and hope. As he emerged from the chamber, the silver door closed behind him, the golden light fading into the mountain walls. He looked back once, and in the shadows he thought he saw the dragon woman's glowing eyes watching him. Then the path ahead opened, leading toward the surface. Rian stepped forward with confidence, ready to bring the mountain's knowledge and hope to the world above. He had passed the final trial, and a new chapter for humanity had begun.